talking to my friend, and we're hoping that all this stuff kind of blows over. But have you ever heard of the QAnon stuff? Have you heard of any of
Yes,
that?
I've heard of them. I've heard of them.
Yeah,
Well, they're
I don't know much
the
about them. I really don't.
QAnon, they're being smeared by the left
Yeah, I
and
don't
by
know.
fake media.
I don't know really much about them.
well, I mean, actually, the QAnon stuff is not really it's kind of fake stuff. They're trying to confuse people. That you never really used the internet in the past 3 years so much that, but people have been like going around on the internet, and they say, "Oh, QAnon says that Trump has a secret plan, and Jeff Sessions has a secret plan, and you have to follow the plan and just go back to sleep, and don't worry, they're gonna take care of it." And a lot of people fell for this stuff.
Yeah, that's makeup stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean
Yeah.
that exactly, but I never really fell for it. I've checked it out, but they said like, oh, in Guantanamo Bay, maybe Hillary Clinton's in Guantanamo Bay right now, and they're increasing the size of Guantanamo Bay, and they're gonna put Obama in there and everything, and people are like,
Nah,
trust the plan, and a lot of those
no.
people like that woman that was there that got shot in a Capitol building.
Yeah.
She was into that QAnon stuff, so no.
She was a veteran too.
Yeah.
14 years, I believe, the Air Force.
In the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
She's an American patriot, and she didn't attack anybody. She had no weapon. It was just
She was trying to climb through the window though. I mean,
did climb through the
Yeah,
window.
I think she did.
Yeah, she
Um,
violated the law,
I didn't see any pictures of it. I
but she
didn't
was
watch
a
the
threat
pictures.
to nobody, and there was no reason to shoot her.
no, there was not. But
And if you were,
they needed some depth. They needed something to happen because they were hoping something much more crazy would happen, but it didn't. So it could have been much worse. It could have been much worse. Like you were saying before, you're saying the people that were walking in there were like looking around, taking pictures with the DC police, and just kind of looking around like, oh, this is the Capitol, like a tourist.
Like tourists, yes.
yeah, they
And I
were.
will tell you this,
They just
Jason.
once people started walking in, other people saw them walking in,
Yeah.
so they walk in too,
I will tell
Yeah.
you this quite
and they walk
honestly,
within the ropes.
and I hope they won't be
They walked within the ropes, right? Like, oh, we can't go in. There's a rope there.
so we're
They stayed within the ropes
Yeah,
like a tourist.
yeah. What I will say is, and Dad had said that if he were young, maybe even late teens, early 20s, I guess, me too, if I had been there, I wouldn't be smashing windows to get
No,
in.
no, 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 no. People were
But
stopping them from smashing the windows.
but if I was able to get in walking nicely and looking around, I probably would have with no evil intent whatsoever. I probably, if we were young, and without
Jason,
thinking of consequences or ramifications,
Jason, if I were there and people were walking in, just walking in, I say, "Oh, they're walking in. We can have a tour of the Capitol."
Yeah, something like that. Just there's a big dividing line about those who really went to destroy and crazy people and going through government documents and so forth and stealing things.
Yeah.
I have too much respect for our government, well, no, not necessarily the government, but the Capitol. I'm not that type of an individual, but I may have walked in. And I'm extremely upset. I was going to post something on my Facebook, which I very rarely do. The last time I put something on Facebook, maybe it was a
Yeah.
year ago. I was going to put something on about just my absolute contempt by what is going on, trying to get rid of Pollard and the censorship. Even if you're not a Trump supporter, you should be. I'm not talking about you personally, but I'm
Mhm.
talking individuals in general. If they're even not Trump supporters, they should be absolutely outraged by censorship because your dad and I are from the generation of the 1960s, and on campuses all over, our campus included, the most operative word was academic freedom when you were talking about things going on in America. I know
Right.
there were civil rights
And
protests
freedom of
and,
speech on
and, and
campus.
things about Vietnam, but freedom of speech on campus was an absolute, it was sacrosanct. And what we're seeing now, in closing down freedom of speech, freedom of assembly,
It's crazy.
it's just reprehensible, reprehensible,
Unbelievable.
and more upsetting than anything else.
You know what they're doing? They're trying to turn the United States into communist China.
Yeah, if you once you control all means of communication, you know, at the beginning of the Russian Revolution, the first thing the Bolsheviks did was they shut down the telegraph companies, which was their way, so you couldn't get telegrams. They shut down the post offices, and they blocked the access to the train stations, which would be travel and communication of their day in
And
1917.
they also took over the newspapers.
So, yeah. So here you are with a parallel of that sort of tactic. And the tactics are very similar.
So, yeah, this is really bad. So all these internet companies are working together. The big tech companies, you know, are working together to ban Trump off of the internet. And then Parler came around, and they said, like, okay, yo, come over here. You can talk and have freedom of speech at our place. So, you know, and the laugh said, you know, you go make your own place to go and talk and have your freedom of speech. You know, they're a private company. They can do whatever they want. They're a private company. They can do whatever they want. Remember that they're a private company. They can do whatever they want. So what happens after that is, and I talked to you like a day ago. Remember I said to you, they're already lobbying Amazon to kick them off their host servers. And guess what? They did. They were able to do it. So Parler's gone now. And they're trying to find another place to host their servers, but they can't even find one. Is that not like racketeering or monopolistic?
It's a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. It's a conspiracy in the restraint of trade. Sherman Antitrust Act.
How do you spell Sherman anti?
SHERMAN. Sherman Antitrust.
Conspiracies in restraint of trade are a violation of federal law. And if you have sufficient money, you go to the courts as an individual, and you can sue all those companies that are engaged in the conspiracy to restrain trade. Not to mention the fact that they are effectively violating the freedom of speech in this country. They are establishing a censorship network very much as exists in communist China, and they are actually using, at least Facebook, at least 12 censors from communist China to help them in their censorship operation.
And they
People
are
have experience in censoring speech in China. This is totalitarianism.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
No, it's crazy.
Right.
It's
Now,
vile.
as far as the Capitol, the breach of the Capitol, I found out today that the fellow that for the Capitol Police, his last name is Sund, S-U-N-D, and he has resigned, but he called 2 days prior to the rally. He kept calling and calling for various increases in Capitol Police help staff because of two reasons. He thought that there would be more people than the 20,000 that they were told would arrive. And he also, from the internet, was picking up information that some of the crazies might try to, maybe breach the Capitol. I don't know specifically, but there were plans that would not be good, for the Capitol, and could be dangerous. So that's why he called for help.
Yeah.
And his superiors kept denying it and saying, we don't want to give that appearance, and so forth and so on. So he's resigning. They called for his resignation, but the man tried. And if he were successful in getting the reinforcements that he really wanted beforehand,
what's his name?
What happened? Sund, S-U-N-D. And he has resigned. I forget his first name.
DC Police? Head of DC Police?
Yeah. I think that's what his position is.
Oh, no, that's a subordinate of the head of the...
Well, yeah, he might not be the head, but he was the one that is taking all the blame.
Stephen Sud.
Yeah.
All right.
But he did request, and now it's turning out that some of the people that didn't want a large presence of military or police type people or National Guard because they didn't like the look of it, and his superiors and the bureaucracy too, like whose responsibility really was it to make sure that the Capitol building was secure. A lot of things like that came into play.
Yeah.
So the DC police only came in very late.
Yeah, they came in late and they were completely overwhelmed by the number of people, which there were indications that there were going to be more people than 20,000. And there were indications from the internet that there would be some people that would be causing this kind of trouble. So
Yeah.
he did try. So I want to kind of point that out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that excuse me, Trump supporters are not like that. They're not the type of people that would go. I mean, Trump spread it like law and order, right? You know, you don't go around like doing stuff like that. But I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. So, you know, Amazon has kind of a virtual real estate, or or virtual leasing system, where they lease their servers to people that want to put websites on their servers, and they suddenly said you can't use our servers anymore. So I'm wondering. I mean, you guys probably know better than me, but if I had, you know, a strip mall or some places for rent for businesses, and then I suddenly decided that I don't like these people's politics that are that have a business in my strip mall, can I just kick them out? Can I just do that? Because it's my business,
Well,
right?
that, but you could open yourself up to a lawsuit that you're violating their freedom of speech.
Well, I mean, why doesn't Parler do that then? They can't do that. Are they?
Parler,
Wait, they're protected. Are they protected? Are they protected from the 230?
here's the problem with Parler.
You're
According
right.
to
Good
the
point.
internet,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's true or not because half the stuff isn't true, but their lawyers have resigned from Parler.
Yeah, I just saw
They
that on
want
my phone. I don't know
nothing,
how true that
nothing to
is.
do with Parler because Parler is being attacked as a free speech area where people are free to say what they want, and that's not allowed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Internet
saw that on my phone. I don't know how true that is. That was just
may
something
or may
that
not be true, but there would be other lawyers who'd be willing to take
right,
their place.
right. I think
But
so.
yeah,
But initiate a lawsuit for a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act because there is a definite conspiracy in restraint of trade
oh,
direct Parler.
definitely. Like Facebook and Twitter, they were losing millions of users in real time. You know, over days, and
Oh,
I really
really?
feel yeah. When you think about it, everyone after they banned Trump, all the Trump supporters like let's move to Parler. We're all moving to Parler. And I like a very reputable people like I'm moving to Parler. Here's my Parler account. Here's my Parler account.
Yeah, I tried to yesterday. That it was hard to
They
get
said you
on.
have to wait until after 12
Yeah,
o'clock to
yeah,
try and get on.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're on Parler.
so I mean they started exploding and exploding and
Right.
exploding, and then Twitter started losing a lot of traffic, and so I'm guessing that you know the other tech giants swooped in there to save them, and you know people stopped going to Parler, and they also put out some information that said like Parler doesn't uh, delete the information from your photos that says your location and so forth. And there's a lot of hacks and there's a lot of bad things. And it's very dangerous to go there. But Parler's been around for a year, so
Well,
you,
that's a typical smear campaign
yeah, it's a
by
spear campaign. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
It's like QAnon. They make up these phony stories that QAnon believes in. Well, no group is going to believe in this bullshit that they talk about. This is totalitarianism. This
This
is
is their excuse to do
transforming
what they want.
the United States of America into communist China. In communist China, they have billionaire globalists, and then they have the masses, and whatever the masses see or hear is totally under the government's control, and the government will not tolerate any point of view that is different from the official governmental line. And not only that, there is evil. They say they're trying to restrain violent speech or whatever. Well, Khomeini from Iran, who was the leader of Iran, the Ayatollah, he says death to America.
Oh, and not
He
just
says
that.
kill Trump. And then in communist China, they're on Twitter too, and they're glorifying their sterilization campaign among the Uyghurs.
Yes. Yeah.
So they say that's wonderful. We are freeing the Uyghurs of
having babies.
of having babies. They no longer have to be baby factories.
But not only that.
And don't you think the left would love to do that to all the Trump supporters? Because what I see what's going on Twitter right now, I'm saying like, hey, we passed the Rubicon now. Now they're saying any Trump supporter is a terrorist. And then, I got one reply already. And it's like, well, they are, that's what they are. So, I mean, I'm telling you that they put us, we apparently to them, we are racist people that want to destroy everybody else, and we are terrorists, and we're very dangerous, and that's the boat that they put us in right now, and that's what
you could even do a montage without even going to bother with China or with Russia. You could do a montage of what has been going on in America from the left for somewhat 4 years, and at least the last year, and holding up severed head of Donald Trump, and very, very, very inflammatory speeches, kill the president. There are a whole montage. You could go on for a half an hour playing clips.
Did Luke get his present from
people?
us?
What
Stop.
they had?
Yeah, it's a different story, Dad. But yeah, I want to keep it.
Don't interrupt that now. Yeah. So. What many of the leaders of, shall we call, the left, and the public figures like Madonna wanting to burn down or blow up the White House was her quote. All of these are fine to say, but if a president says, let us march to the Capitol, which many, many groups have done over the years.
And he said peacefully, we're going to be peaceful. He wasn't expecting this to happen. And remember when Kavanaugh, the confirmations for Kavanaugh, the hearing, the Supreme Court doors were solid. But if you remember, there are clips of pictures of demonstrators, not just screaming, hollering, which is okay, I guess, but they were pounding on the doors as the Supreme Court trying to get in.
They tried to break
down the doors.
But the doors were...
And that's why they cowered in the last election. Really, really disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yeah. So
now they're gonna pack the court. You know what's crazy? They just signed their own warrant to have no power at all. They're gonna pack the courts, and it's just so crazy. Why did they do that to themselves?
They made a mistake, a big one, in not hearing the Texas suit. They made a mistake.
And also in not hearing the Pennsylvania suit.
Right. This because they did have original jurisdiction in that matter. They were the only place that Texas could go with their particular complaint. And for the court to say that Texas didn't have standing means you're affected by something. And certainly you have standing. And
if you're not affected by a presidential election, what are you?
People are backing away, hiding, running. Their courage is greatly missing. And one thing, when some of the Republican Congress people say, we're moderate, we moderates, that means you're not taking your individual responsibility. You're not standing up for what you believe. You're just sort of being a jellyfish and not really standing up for anything. And you're doing what's most convenient. And many of them are thinking about 2024 for themselves, and they want to leave Trump far in the background and work on their own campaigns and come out looking like they're oh so reasonable. One of the problems with Republicans also is if you're talking about the $2,000 proposal to give to Americans, they say, oh, can't afford it. Well, I understand that argument. But the problem with many Republicans is there was a commercial about it from an investment company, and the Republicans are very much like this. And I'm going to paraphrase it. If you're doing rather well, it's time for a quiet conversation, meaning you got so much money, you want to invest, and they look down on the Trump people. They look down on the people who are the average
This is a
working man.
commercial?
Oh,
Yes.
that was a long time ago.
No,
it's been around for a long time. The point is, it was geared to the upper class people, and many of these.
Wait, hold on. There's a commercial in America on normal TV that
Yes.
said
Yeah.
like if you're doing well, then
Have a quiet conversation about our investment firm. There's
It's
nothing
geared
wrong with the
to
commercial.
wealthy people.
But look,
And there are many wealthy people in the United
Your
States.
but
father and
what's
I-
wrong with that? Wait, so have a quiet conversation with
It means that you're oh so well behaved.
You don't want
You know,
anybody to know
what
about
I'm-
your investments.
What I'm
It'll
trying.
be very confidential. We won't let people know that you're rich.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
No, but Jason, maybe you're missing. Maybe somehow I'm not making my point
Okay,
clear.
yeah, I'm sorry.
The problem with Republicans, many of them,
Some of them.
is that they're the country club Republicans of we knew many of them in New
the
Jersey.
George Bush Republicans.
Yeah, but they're completely removed from the minds, the hearts, the goals of the average American who went for Trump, and they felt so threatened. And the thing that is the biggest thing about the Capitol incident is I think the Democrats are absolutely terrified, and I'm not alone with this because I said it and many commentators are saying it, because the huge amount of crowds, they're absolutely terrified with how many people.
So they
support-
needed that breaching of the police and getting inside that. They needed that. If they didn't have that, then they
If
wouldn't
it
be.
didn't happen,
They would have engineered it, and maybe they did.
They did. Obviously, I mean,
so
no, I'm not saying that they engineered it, but there was definitely provocateurs that made it happen, especially Antifa, and then there was also some people that just followed, like the mob mentality. They were hoping that the mob mentality would go even crazier and just like storm more of the Capitol and start, holding hostages. They were hoping for something much, much worse. But actually, if you think about it, the Trump supporters didn't do that much at all. I mean, nobody brought a gun with them. Nobody. Most of the people actually just stood in front of the Capitol and waved some Trump flags. That's all they did. And some people, most of the other people that went inside there, they just walked around and looked around and took pictures. There's only few people, very few, maybe like what at the most like
got that.
100 people out of about 1 million people, maybe 100 went into people's offices and did some bad stuff and tried to break through windows and stuff. And you got videos of police officers. I'm sorry, did you see police opening the barrier and letting people in?
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw. Yeah.
And there's like, come on, let's go. And then you got people inside there just taking pictures. It was definitely a false flag. It's a false flag. It was not. It's not. That was not the Trump flag. That was not the Trump flag. Because if it was a Trump flag, there was enough people. If Trump really if Trump said, go in there, go get him, like he could have done that, and all of the Trump supporters would have taken over that Capitol and killed them all. No matter how many police officers. No, I'm just saying, like there was that many people that could have happened, but it didn't happen because that's not what we wanted. We didn't want to go in there and do that. We just wanted the rule of law to happen. That's all.
Yeah.
By the way, Jason, the cartoon is very appropriate.
Yeah, that's good. That was in history books, that one.
Yeah.
It's about the need for the Sherman Antitrust Act. And that's what they are establishing in America today, the internet.
So,
By the way, Jason, I years ago I was told the U.S. government invented the internet and owned it. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess,
I mean,
yeah, I guess so. I guess
all
so.
right. Now, if all these multi-billion-dollar corporations who use the internet to make billions of dollars in profit every year, like Amazon and Facebook and Google, and Twitter, all those that are engaged in a conspiracy and the restraint of trade now against Parler and against the President of the United States, um, why don't we have an internet fee? I charge them 1% of their profits for a fund to subsidize the U.S. Post Office. Because the main reason why the U.S. Post Office is losing money is because of the internet and and of course email and the business that's.
I'll tell you why. I'll be. I know why. I know why that doesn't happen. They have lots of money. I'm a GOP candidate. I get money. I'm a Democrat. I get money. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There's no way. It's the only person that was trying to stop that was Trump, but he didn't.
right.
He dropped the ball on that because he's just kind of like, oh, let the free market happen, and then the lawyers around him like, yeah, you shouldn't push too hard, and you shouldn't do that, and other thing. Now he's paying for it. Now he can't even say anything. Why doesn't he come out on the emergency broadcast system? Why doesn't he go on all of our cell phones, which there is a place, there's an internet kill switch that he can do. The government still has that. He has the power to turn off the internet and come onto your phone and say, like, this is how it is. He doesn't do it. He's never done it. He kept it in the back, like, for a while, like maybe like in his cards, like, I could do this, but I mean, if it's any time to do it, he should do it now. I mean, I remember living in America when Bush would just come on to all the news stations and give an announcement to all the people in the world. He can do that. He can make an emergency announcement. I'm your president. This is what's happening right now. Why doesn't he do it? I mean, did he lose that power? I guess so. Maybe these internet companies and the media is so powerful that even though he has the powerful right to go into CBS and NBC and through all your smartphones and make an announcement, emergency announcement, what's actually going on in a country, that there was foreign interference and that the election was stolen, and we're going to declare martial law right now, and we're going to put the election off to a later date, and the National Guard is going to come in and make sure that this actually happens. But
He wouldn't have the support.
He wouldn't have the support. Yeah.
No, he wouldn't have had the support.
The armed forces would not obey him.
Right. Now, here's the thing, too, with many Americans who want to start a third party. I understand that. Teddy Roosevelt tried that, didn't work out for him. It will be harder, longer, but what we have to do in the Republican Party, those of us that can do it, want to do it, motivated to do it, and see it clearly, is we have to do the primary fights. That's what we have to go. Go to public meetings, speak out, letters to the editor, that kind of thing. And that's, takes a lot of work. It's not exciting. It's not glamorous. You're not getting out there with a flag, which is fine to do, but then you can go home and go on the internet. What you have to do is get out there, find primary candidates willing to run against the Republicans that you quite honestly despise, and defeat them. And that's what you have to do. And that's what your father and I are more accustomed to. We got to, it's very tempting, and it sounds like great idea. Let's form a third party. Americans, you can do third parties on a local level. You could even do it in New York City. You could manage. You could do a third party in a little town like Galway. You go knock on doors. But on a nationwide or congressional seat, it's much, much harder. Much, much harder. And the state legislatures have to be cleaned out, too. And the governorships have to be cleaned out. And you have to work very, very hard to do that. And those people that are Trump supporters that don't want anything to do with the Republican Party as such, as an organization, I understand that. but you have to.
The GOP. What is? Explain to me what the GOP is.
Government of the people.
Grand Old Party.
All right.
It's called
So is that the Republican Party? Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
Republican
Yes, it is.
Party,
It
yes.
was called the GOP. Yeah.
Okay,
Grand
because
Old.
I have an idea that the GOP is kind of like the bad part of the Republican Party.
No, it is the Republican Party. It's a nickname. It's an acronym for Grand Old Party.
A synonym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An acronym would be, well, the concept itself is a cinnamon. Cinnamon. Yeah, I can't say it.
Sorry.
But that's what we have to do. Third party, Trump. I've heard that he may try to do his own internet, his own. I don't know.
No, his own.
Not internet. I know very, very little about
His
social
own,
media and the workings of the machinery, so
his
I
own.
can't. But his own type of parlor. Let's put it
Right.
that way. He can do that. But the groundwork will be difficult. But the idea of impeaching him again, trying to remove him from office, 25th Amendment, which does not apply at all. Not at all. Not in the furthest stretch of the imagination with the 25th Amendment fit. But at any rate, these types of things, what you have to do is you have to do a lot of groundwork. And it's not going to be fun.
Impeachment would be unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Because all that Trump did was exercise his right of due process and exercise his right of freedom of speech.
Right.
And his right of peacefully assembling people. 3 rights.
Yeah.
3.
And case law.
Yeah, he didn't say like, oh, let's go there and destroy everything. No, it's not.
Case law, you wouldn't
just
be able
said
to prosecute him
to
for what he said at all.
Peacefully
He just wouldn't.
march down to the
I think it's
Capitol. That's all.
U.S.
Peacefully
versus
march
Brandenburg
down
or
to the
Brandenburg
Capitol.
versus U.S.
Well, but on the left, that's the problem with it. On the left, I'm sorry to like bring it right back around. They're saying that he incited everyone to do this, and that now we need the next Patriot Act. We need the Patriot Act that goes after people who incite violence.
I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of another Patriot Act.
You want to know who incited the violence and the entry in the Capitol? Those congressmen who refuse to object to the challenged Biden electors. That incited them. The Supreme Court, which refused to hear the cases brought before them and examine the facts, that incited them. The Democratic judges in Pennsylvania who changed the election law in violation of the Constitution, that incited them. Congressmen like Senator Toomey of Pennsylvania, who spoke against this, who spoke in favor of the Biden steal of the elections, that incited them. And they have blood on their hands.
Oh, well, they say Trump has blood on his hands. What do you say to that?
No,
I say they have blood.
Not. You go through the legal system and you look at cases that involved inciting riots and the prosecution thereof. I don't think you'll find what he said to be in any way adjudicated in other circumstances to be a violation and to be responsible for what happens. Also, I'll say this, I'm a very, very strong believer in individual responsibility. And just because somebody says something to you doesn't mean you go do it. And that is the biggest factor, in my opinion. Well, he never asked them
to go into the Capitol building.
But even if they, there have been cases that people have been prosecuted for saying, go and do this or go and giving them directions to do some pretty bad things, and they were they were not convicted of such things because the laws on it are pretty clear as to what has to happen and what you have to do.
I never
and what
saw
the result
a
would
picture of Trump with a mustache until now.
Yeah.
Is that really a real picture of him with a mustache?
No, it's a fake picture. His name is John Barron. He's the guy that's He can't go on as Trump anymore, so this is his disguise to go onto Twitter.
That's funny.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's a
funny.
joke. It's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Father had
Okay.
a mustache
Yeah.
like that.
So, and I want to make another point with what the Democrats are doing, and fortunately, maybe for our side, not my side, um, that we don't like to see Trump impeached, of course, but he's a big guy; he can stand up for himself. We don't like to see that, but on the other hand, the Democrats are being so stupid trying to do it. They'd be much better off saying, no, we're not going to do this. He's leaving. We want to unite the country. But every time they said they want to unite the country, then they become absolutely laughable by saying 74 million of us are, very disreputable people. And so if they keep wanting to do that, go ahead, they can knock themselves out trying to do that because they're just turning off a lot of people. And also,
Yeah.
there are some people on the sidelines that may say, too, the people with something called common sense, which a lot of politicians are completely devoid of, but common sense would tell you there are probably people right now sitting around in front of their TV sets, holding a beer in the evening and saying, geez, the guy's going to leave in about 4 or 5 days, 6 days, or whatever, and, business days. What are they doing this for now? They look stupid.
Well, they're afraid of
They
Trump.
look stupid.
They're
They're
afraid.
scared.
Yeah.
They are afraid.
They're
but-
afraid that he might sign the Insurrection Act.
Yeah,
No,
I
what
don't
they're
know
really
whether he's
afraid
going to
of,
do
Jason,
that. But I always
they're-
hope my
they're
enemies look
afraid
ridiculous.
that he might run for re-election.
Yeah.
That's true
And
too.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Yeah.
afraid of. So
And
they're
that's why the
trying
Republicans
to
are.
discredit him. They're trying to take his voice away.
Yeah.
This is absolutely outrageous what they're doing. By the way, Jason, you were taken off of Twitter a couple times, right?
I was taken off of Twitter. I had to make a new account.
And you were taken off of Facebook too, right?
I quit Facebook because I was tired of people's bullshit.
Well, you don't have to listen to them.
Well,
don't
I
answer-
know, no. Actually, it was part of my job too. Like, oh, they're like, oh, we don't like your opinions, about the mask and the COVID-19 stuff, and we're afraid other parents. So I censored myself. And
Yes.
now looking back at it, I wish I didn't do that because now, what I have is the boss, the guy that I work for. Probably gonna stop recording here. Let's stop recording this.